Hello students, good morning to all. In this video, we'll be discussing about Lewis dot structures. I've given in your assignments to draw Lewis dot structures which you have drawn. All of you, most of you have drawn wrongly. So I would like to discuss with you all that how to draw Lewis dot structures in a perfect way, or how to draw the Lewis dot structure which is most acceptable. So these are some rules. I assure you that after have following this method, you will get to know which is the most acceptable Lewis dot structures. Just so this is very easy method. I have used many tricks in this. So let's discuss. Let's get started. Uh, Firstly, I would like to tell you about that Lewis theory was the first attempt for explaining the bonding in covalent compounds. So also there was no differentiation between the covalent bond and coordinate bond in case of Lewis dot structures Lewis proposed by Lewis based upon the Lewis theory. So the basis was that first was the that only valence electrons will be considered. Only valence electrons present in the atoms associated in the molecules are considered. Driving force for the Lewis dot structure is for the formation of covalent bond for the Lewis based upon the Lewis theory was to complete the octet rule. To complete the octet of individual element, that all the atoms which form bond wants to complete their octet, or we can say duplet in case of hydrogen, as it is not having octet. So also the octet rule, it is later on realized that octet rule is valid for the actually valid only for the corner atoms. The central atom, which is the atom which is present at the center of the molecule, can break this octet rule to have maximum covalency, as achieving maximum covalency is more favorable for the central element, that it tends to achieve maximum covalency. In that case, it can break the octet rule. The breaking of octet rule by the central atom, this thing you will better understand when we'll be discussing the structures. While breaking the octet rule, the central atom can have more than 8 electrons, but can never have less than 8 electrons. That it can break the octet rule in a way that it can have more than 8 electrons, but it can never have less than 8 electrons. So let's get started with the rules. First is if we are given some molecule, say CO2 we are given, we need to first what we need to do is we need to we need to find out we need to select which which atom will serve as the central atom. So these are the rules on the basis of which we'll be selecting the central atom. But firstly, we'll see the atom which is present in least number. So first preference is given to the atom which is present in lowest count. So least number of atoms present in CO2 is carbon. So based upon that, we'll select carbon as central atom. If both the atoms are number of both the atoms are same, then what we'll have to see? We'll have to see that which element has the least electronegativity. That will serve the central atom. Next, if this also doesn't work, then we'll have to see which element is having largest size out of which atom is having largest size out of all the atoms present in a molecule. If this also doesn't work, then we'll have to see the highest atomic number. The atom having highest atomic number will serve as the central atom. So generally, up to this point, that is least electronegative, which we are able to select central atom. So first is least in number, second is least electronegativity, then largest size, then highest atomic number. Also, for hydrogen and fluorine, it is an exception that they can never serve as central atoms. Fluorine being most electronegative, hydrogen being the hydrogen due to the presence of only duplet. Now we start with the journal rules to obtain the most acceptable structure for Lewis dot structure. First rule is, firstly we'll have to see that corner atoms that octet of the corner atoms must be complete, and it can never be less than 8 or it can never be more than 8. So octet of corner atoms must be complete. Next, central atom can have more than 8 electrons, but because it tends to achieve maximum covalency. By covalency, what we mean by covalency? Covalency is the number of bonds plus lone pair electrons. Oxygen, based upon this rule, oxygen can have maximum covalency of 2 with one, it can have a variable covalency that is 1 or 2, but it can have a maximum of 2. Sulfur can have maximum covalency of 6 with variation of 2, 4 and 6. Nitrogen can have maximum covalency of 5, but it can never satisfy its all the covalency with bonds. That is, it can have maximum number of 4 bonds. This is based, it can have one lone pair in addition to that. It is based upon the fact that nitrogen cannot extend its electronic configuration due to the absence of p orbitals. Phosphorus can have maximum of 5 covalencies. For silicon it is 4, for fluorine it is 7, and for carbon it is 4. So these are the maximum covalency, and in general the atoms can have. These are the most common atoms which are for which the Lewis dot structures are generally asked in exams. If there is some positive charge on the molecule, it should be present. Where should we mark that positive charge? It must be present on the central atom. And if some negative charge is there on the molecule, it must be present on the corner atom. Let's get started with the calculation part. Firstly, what we'll have to do is, if we are given the formula of the compound for which we need to draw the Lewis dot structure, what we'll be doing first is we'll be calculating Q. Q is the total number of electrons associated with the molecules, and Q is equal to number of valence. As I have already mentioned that while drawing the Lewis dot structures, we need to consider only the valence electrons of the atoms. So V is the Q is equal to V plus any negative charge present minus any positive charge present on the molecule. V is the valence electrons of all the atoms associated in the molecule. Say if it is CO2, valence electrons in carbon is 4, valence electrons in oxygen is 6. So it has total of 6 into 2 plus 4, that is 16 electrons. It doesn't have any negative charge, it doesn't have any positive charge. For CO2, Q comes out to be 16. Second, we'll calculate the bond pair electrons. Bond pair electrons are calculated by, first we know first we'll have to locate the central atom. Say again we take the example of CO2, that is carbon dioxide. Central atom which is least in number, first priority is given to the least number of atoms. So central atom, here carbon would serve the central atom. Carbon is the central atom. What we'll be doing is we'll draw the central atom here and we'll surround the corner atoms around this. So there are 2 oxygens around carbon, and we'll make 2 single bonds with each oxygen with the carbon. So then we'll count the bond pair electrons. From here we have 2 bonds which the carbon is forming with 2 oxygens, with 1 oxygen each. So 2 bonds are there, that is number of bond pair electrons comes out to be 4. Then we'll have to calculate in the third step the lone pair electrons. Here Q came out to be 16, bond pair electrons are 4. So lone pair electrons is Q minus bond pair electrons, which comes out to be 12. Then all the lone pair electrons are satisfied by the lone pairs present on the atoms, or the double bonds present in the molecule, or the triple bonds. Sequence is this, that firstly we'll have to satisfy the number of lone pairs by showing the lone pairs on the atoms, then double bonds, then triple bond. Next is, if we have drawn all these things, we have drawn the structure based upon the above rules, that CO2 is having, say for CO2, we are drawing it. and we have drawn the single bonds, we have given the lone pairs. Next thing is we then we'll calculate the octet, okay, count the electrons for completion of the octet of the corner, then we'll count for the central atom. Now if we are satisfied with the octet rule that all the things are being satisfied, then we'll count the formal charge, that if there is any charge on the atoms present in the molecule. Formal charge is calculated individually for all the atoms. Say here we have taken the example of hydrogen. Firstly, this is a formula for formal charge. I'll be discussing it with the example of hydrogen. Firstly, we'll calculate Q. Q is the number of valence electrons in all the atoms plus any negative charge plus minus any positive charge. Here it is neutral, no charge is present. V, number of valence electrons associated with one hydrogen is 1, so 2 hydrogens are there. So V comes out to be 2, so that means Q comes out to be 2. We'll draw here central atom can be any hydrogen, as only both the hydrogens are equivalent. So we'll connect the bond by single bond. Then what we'll do is we'll count the electrons for both the hydrogens. Here both the hydrogens have completed their duplet based upon this method. Number of lone pairs, if we count, Q minus bond pair electrons comes out to be 0. So no lone pair. Also hydrogen can never have a lone pair. This is a rule for hydrogen, that it can never have a lone pair. So now we'll be calculating the formal charge. Let's see if hydrogen is having any charge on it. Formal charge, formula for formal charge is valence electrons. Valence electron for hydrogen is 1, minus lone pair electrons, that is 0, minus bond pair electrons by 2. 1 minus 0 minus 2 by 2 means 1. Formal charge comes out to be 0, as both the hydrogens are equivalent. Formal charge on both the hydrogens is 0. So this is the most acceptable Lewis-Dot structure for hydrogen molecule. Let's see next example, which is H3O positive. First thing is we need to select the central atom. The atom which is having least count, that is oxygen, is going to serve the central atom. Then we'll calculate Q. Q is calculated based upon the number of valence electrons present in the molecule minus any positive charge plus any negative charge. Here valence electrons in hydrogens 3 into 1 plus 6 for oxygen minus 1 for this positive charge. Total is 8. Bond pair electrons will draw the central atom here. We'll connect all the corner atoms with single bonds. Now we'll count the bond pair electrons. Bond pair electrons, as there are 3 bonds, comes out to be 6. We'll calculate the lone pair electrons, which is going to be 8 minus 6, that is 2. Hydrogens can never have lone pair, so the lone pair will be present on the oxygen. Now we'll check whether octet or duplet are complete. We'll start with the corner atoms. 1, 2 for this hydrogen complete, 1, 2 for this hydrogen complete, 1 and 2 for this hydrogen complete. Oxygen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. All the octet and duplets present in the molecule are complete. Next is the turn for the formal charge. Let's calculate the formal charge on the hydrogen. For hydrogen, formal charge is valence electrons on hydrogen 1 minus lone pair electrons 0, no lone pair, minus bond pair electrons divided by 2. Bond pair electrons are 2, 1 and 2. 2 divided by 2, 0. So as all the hydrogens are equal, formal charge on all the hydrogens is going to be 0. Let's calculate the formal charge on oxygen. Valence electrons associated with oxygen are 6 minus lone pair electrons. Here lone pair electrons are 2 minus 2 minus bond pair electrons divided by 2. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 6 minus 5 is 1. So formal charge on oxygen comes out to be plus 1. So this is the most acceptable structure, Lewis-Dot structure for H3O positive. Next we'll discuss for NO3 negative. Central atom as based upon the least number, nitrogen. Join, second step is join all. Then we'll calculate Q. Q is 6 for each hydrogens, each oxygen, plus 5 for nitrogen valence electrons, plus 1 based upon the negative charge. Q comes out to be 24. Bond pair electrons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 electrons, lone pair electrons 18. In the step 4, we'll give all the lone pairs to the corner atoms and try to complete their octet. Here in this step, we have given 3 lone pair each to each oxygen. So that makes a total of 18. Based upon that, we can see that octet of, now we'll start counting, we'll start looking for that if the octet and the octets are complete for the corner atoms. Here we can see that octet of corner atom is complete. 6 electrons from the lone pair and 2 electrons from the bond pair. So octet for each oxygen is complete. Next we need to count for the octet of nitrogen. Here nitrogen is having 6 electrons. Octet is not complete, and we have already discussed in the rules that central atom can have more than 8 electrons, but it can never have less than 8 electrons. It must have 8 or more than 8 electrons associated with it. So what we'll do is we'll shift this lone pair electron, as it can also serve as the double bond. So this lone pair will come here. This oxygen will be associated with 2 lone pairs now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Its octet is complete. Its octet was already complete. It is also complete. Now the octet of nitrogen is also complete. Now as of now the octets for all the atoms are complete. We look for the formal charge. Let's calculate the formal charge on this oxygen. Formal charge is given by valence electrons associated with oxygen are in general 6 minus number of lone pairs electrons 4 minus number of bond pair electrons divided by 2 minus 4 by 2, 0. 0 for this oxygen. Let us see for these singly bonded oxygens which are equivalent. For O2 it comes out to be 6 minus number of lone pair electrons 6 minus 6 minus number of bond pair electrons divided by 2. It comes out to be minus 1. Then we'll calculate for third oxygen, which also comes out to be minus 1. And then we'll calculate for nitrogen. Nitrogen, it is valence electrons is 5 minus lone pair, as there is no lone pair. So 0 lone pair electrons minus bond pair electrons divided by 2. There are 4 bonds. So 8 bond pair electrons divided by 2. 5 minus 4 comes out to be plus 1. So there is positive plus 1 charge on oxygen, nitrogen. Overall charge on the molecule comes out to be, as this 1 plus and 1 minus is going to cancel each other. The overall charge is minus 1, NO3 negative. It has 3 atoms have a formal charge. Nitrogen is having plus charge. 2 oxygens are having negative. So this is the most acceptable structure for NO3 negative anion. Next is SO3 molecule. This was given to you in your assignment. Let's see, the central atom is going to be sulfur, as it is least in number. Then we'll join all the corner atoms with central atom. Q comes out to be 24, 6 for each oxygen, plus 6 for sulfur, 24 bond pair electrons, 6 lone pair electrons, 18. We'll give all the lone pairs to oxygens. After that, we'll check for the octet. For octets for oxygen is complete here, but sulfur is not. For sulfur, octet is not complete. So what we'll do is we'll shift one of the oxygens, one lone pair, to this to double bond. This is done. Now we'll calculate the formal charge. As of now, octet for all the atoms is complete. Oxygen 1, 2 and 3, we have given them numbers. Formal charge on oxygen 1 comes out to be 0. Oxygen 2 comes out to be minus 1. Oxygen 3 comes out to be minus 1. And sulfur comes out to be plus 2 based upon the formula for the formal charge. Now this structure, which comes out to be there are a lot of charges present on this structure, we can minimize this charge. So it can, in the most acceptable structure for Lewis, by the Lewis, it is said that it should have minimum charge separation. It should have minimum number of charges. So what we'll do is, we can do, so based upon our calculation, this so far we have reached this structure. So what we can do is, as sulfur can extend its covalency to 6, now at present covalency is 4. So it will tend to achieve its maximum covalency, will shift one lone pair from each oxygen mole. What will happen is, each oxygen will be doubly bonded to sulfur. Now sulfur is having 12 electrons based upon, that is 4 more electrons than the octet. Octet for corner atoms is complete. Covalency of sulfur has been achieved to be maximum, that is 6. So this structure where no charge is present, now we'll be calculating the formal charge. Formal charge on all the atoms will come out to be 0. So as this molecule is not having any charge separation, so this is the most acceptable Lewis-Dot structure. This is also correct. But if you're asked about the most acceptable Lewis-Dot structure, most stable Lewis-Dot structure, that is going to be this structure. Because here covalency of sulfur is maximum, which is the driving force for Lewis-Dot structures. So next we have SO42 negative. Central atom sulfur, 4 bonds with each oxygen. Q32, 1 pair electrons, 8, as there are 4 bonds, lone pair electrons, 32 minus 8, 24. 32 means will give the lone pair electrons 24, then 6 electrons to each oxygen. Octet for all the oxygens is complete. Sulfur, it is also complete, but this structure is not correct when we'll count the formal charge. Formal charge from here comes out to be -1 on each oxygen, and sulfur will have the formal charge of +2. So what we'll do is, this is what we have reached so far. So we'll shift 2 electrons, 2 lone pairs, 2 double bonds. Now and here we'll also check the covalency. Covalency of sulfur here is 4. So we can extend its covalency by making the single bonds, by converting the single bonds to double bond, and extending its octet to from 8 to 12. So here 2 oxygens will be having negative charge. Negative charge on 2 oxygens, these 2 oxygens is gone. Positive charge on this sulfur is gone. So there is lowest number of charges present on this structure. So this is the most acceptable structure for SO42 negative based upon the Lewis-Dot theory. Next is SO32 negative molecule. Here also we have chosen the central atom, 3 oxygens bonded by single bonds. Q comes out to be 26. Bond pair electrons, if 3 bonds are there, 6. Bond pair electrons, 20. Now we'll be trying to satisfy the octet by giving the lone pairs to the corner atoms, try to satisfy the octet of the corner atoms. Based upon that, 6 electrons are present as lone pairs with each oxygen, and that makes the total of 18. As 20 are there, we'll have to give 1 lone pair to sulfur. Now what will happen is, we'll count the octet. Octet for all the atoms is complete. We'll check for the formal charge. Formal charge on all the oxygens comes out to be -1 and sulfur +1. Now we'll count the covalency. Covalency comes out to be 5. 1 lone pair, 2, 3 bonds. 2 plus 3 is 5. So it can extend its covalency to maximum of 6. That is most acceptable. So one of the oxygen will shift its lone pair to sulfur, and charges will reduce and will reach here. So this structure is the most acceptable structure for SO32 negative. Next is the hybridization. This is a shortcut for hybridization. Firstly, we'll have to calculate Z for any of the molecule, which is half multiplied by number of valence electrons on the central atom, plus any negative charge present, minus any positive charge, plus number of monovalent atoms present in the molecule. If Z comes out to be 2, that means hybridization is sp, geometry is linear, angle is going to be 180. Similarly, 3 means sp2, 4 means sp3, 5 means sp3d, 6 means sp3d2, 7 means sp3d3. And these are the shapes of the molecules. Here one thing you need to clarify that these are the hybridizations, these are the geometries. You can never write linear hybridization, you can never write trigonal planar hybridization. And also you can never write trigonal planar shape. Shape of the molecule is different from that of the geometry. Geometry is decided by the lone pairs and the bond pairs both, but shape of the molecule is decided based upon the bond pairs, arrangement of bond pairs around the central atom. This we'll be discussing now. Here we have some examples. This is ammonia molecule. We are calculating that here half multiplied by valence electrons on the central atom, that is 5, plus no negative or positive charge, but number of monovalent atoms are to be added, which are hydrogens here. 5 plus 3, 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 means sp3 from here. So this means as there are 3 hydrogens present around the nitrogens, so that means bond pairs are, number of bond pairs is 3. One must be lone pair. So based upon this, if bond pairs are 3 and one lone pair is there, geometry is going to be tetrahedral, but shape is going to be pyramidal. Next is SF4. Z comes out to be 5. Geometry is going to be, hybridization is going to be sp3d. Number of fluorines are 4. Bond pairs are going to be 4. Lone pair is going to be 1 based upon 5 minus 4. Lone pair is 1. So shape of the molecule is going to be, this is geometry. Geometry is trigonal bipyramidal, but shape is going to be seesaw shape. Here we have placed the lone pair on this position and not on this position. There are two positions of the geometry in case of trigonal bipyramidal, as two types of bond angles are there, and pentagonal bipyramidal. Here we need to see that where to keep the, which atom is kept, is required to be kept where, or if lone pair is present, where it is to be kept. Here we can see that this is called the axial position and this is called the equatorial position. It is always acceptable that more electronegative atom is present on the axial position, as lone pair is more electronegative, is considered more electronegativity negative in comparison to fluorine. So it is always kept at the axial position rather than on the equatorial position. So this gives the molecule the desired shape, that is seesaw shape. Let's talk about the XeF2, which is this. From 5, it is sp3d2. Number of bond pairs is 2. Shape is going to be linear, but geometry is trigonal bipyramidal. Because geometry has to deal with both the lone pairs and bond pairs. Here, lone pairs, all the 3 lone pairs will occupy axial position, that is these 3 positions, and fluorines will occupy the equatorial positions. This is not at all on the basis of number, that if 3 lone pairs are there, those will occupy the 3 positions, and 2 fluorines are there, those will occupy the 2 positions. That is, as there are 3 equivalent positions, so this is not based upon that, which is clear from this molecule, which is XeO3F2. Here fluorine is more electronegative than oxygen. Here Z comes out to be 5. That means sp3d hybridization, which means no lone pair is present, as all the 5 bonds are occupied by 3 oxygens and 2 fluorine. So here for this molecule, this is a geometry of this molecule, that is trigonal bipyramidal. Here fluorines are present at the axial position, 2 fluorines are there and 3 oxygens are there, and 3 oxygens are present as 1 at axial position and 2 at equatorial position. So this proves that more electronegative atom tends to remain at the axial position and not at the equatorial position, irrespective of the number of atoms present. Same is the case with PCl3F2. Their fluorines are less in number, but still they occupy this position, whereas according to symmetry, it could have 3 fluorines here and 2 fluorines present on the equatorial position. But this is decided on the basis of more electronegative species will occupy the axial position, irrespective of the number of atoms associated in the molecule. So this is how you calculate the hybridization as a shortcut, and this is how you draw the shapes, and how you draw the geometries, and what are the basis of geometry and what is the basis of shape. Now I have told you everything about this. I hope now you'll be able to draw each and every structure. I want you to practice Lewis dot structures for these four molecules, and you can send this to me in the form of an image or photograph as assignment on Lewis dot structure based upon this. So that is it for today. Thank you so much.